Hello there, I'm Henry Keane and this is News Pulse, the beating heart of the news from Ukraine and for the world. Is Russia about to open a new front in Ukraine? Russian troops continue to make minor advances in the area of the border of the Sumy and Kursk regions, and the Russian army will not be able to launch a major offensive operation in the nearest future without significant reinforcements. This is the opinion of analysts from the Institute for the Study of War, but is that really the case? Is there a threat from the Russian Federation on the northeastern border of Ukraine? Look deeper into the story.
All Russian attempts to break through into Sumy and Kharkiv regions are failing. The situation on the front line has not changed drastically, says Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky. According to him, Russia continues a strategic offensive operation aimed at advancing deeper into Ukrainian territory. Its goal remains the complete capture of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, as well as parts of the Kherson and Zaporizhzhia regions. By launching an offensive in the Sumy region, Russian forces are likely trying to establish a so-called buffer zone along the border. They may also attempt to deploy artillery close enough to the city of Sumy to create conditions that make life there unbearable for civilians. This is according to a new report from the Institute for the Study of War.
Putin may intend to leverage further advances in Sumy Oblast and pressure on Sumy city to demand that Ukraine cede part of Sumy Oblast to Russia during future peace negotiations. The Russian military command may also intend to establish limited defensible positions in northern Sumy Oblast and then transfer these forces to reinforce other operational efforts in Ukraine. Although the informational and political pressure that a push on Sumy city could generate may be more enticing for Putin than advances in other frontline areas, from the report by the Institute for the Study of War.
The number of Russian assaults has nearly doubled across all major axes of the front, and the Russian offensive in the Sumy and Kharkiv directions has effectively already begun. This was confirmed by General Syrsky in an interview with the Ukrainian outlet Levy Bereg. These actions are considered a continuation of offensive efforts that Russia began back in May 2024, according to Ukraine's General Staff.
This offensive has essentially already started. For several days now, almost a week, we've observed nearly a twofold increase in enemy offensive activity across all major directions. Despite ongoing negotiations, we are only seeing intensified assaults. Oleksandr Syrsky, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, in an interview with Levy Bereg UA.
However, active Russian operations in the Sumy and Kharkiv regions should not be confused with a full-scale assault on the cities of Sumy and Kharkiv themselves. This clarification comes from Andriy Kovalenko, head of the Center for Countering Disinformation at the National Security and Defense Council. He noted that in northern Kharkiv region, Russian forces are currently expending significant resources to hold the territories they temporarily occupied last year. Notably, they are engaged in fierce fighting for Vovchansk.
The only current threat to the city of Kharkiv is posed by Iskander missiles, Shahed drones and other ballistic and aerial attacks. At this time, the enemy does not have the forces necessary for a ground assault on Kharkiv.
Over the past few weeks, Russia has indeed increased pressure in the Kharkiv and Kursk directions, especially in the border areas of the Sumy region. Still, the situation remains stable.
In reality, they haven't been able to take Pokrovsk, Mironograd or fully capture Toretsk or Chasiv Yar for nearly 6 months. So when it comes to cities like Sumy and Kharkiv, where we have layered defenses, prepared fortifications and other measures in place, their prospects look even worse. Dmytro Lychovy, spokesperson for Ukraine's General Staff, on Facebook.
Meanwhile, Mikhailo Podolyak, advisor to the head of the office of the President of Ukraine, believes that Russia will continue escalating the war, building up forces in specific areas. He also warned that Russia will persist in using Belarus as a staging ground. Joint Russian-Belarusian military exercises, named Zapad 2025, are scheduled for this autumn. Syrsky noted that these drills could be part of preparations for a new offensive against Ukraine. This is a clear indication that Russia has no intention of honoring any ceasefire agreements. Reported by Victoria Smirnova, UATV News.
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth will attend the Ramstein summit via video link, and a number of media outlets report about that. Volodymyr Zelenskyy said that Kiev will seek supplies of air defense systems, including Patriot systems that Ukraine is craving. He also said that Ukraine is ready to purchase weapons from the United States in large quantities. Andriy Dmitrenko will talk you into the thing in more detail.
Kiev is prepared to purchase American weapons worth tens of billions of dollars and use them as security guarantees. This was announced by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. He emphasized the need for clarity on the volume of future military supplies and confirmed that Ukraine is willing to make a deal, either by paying the U.S. directly or through a joint fund.
This is about defense. This will be our support after the war ends. It's a security guarantee. Ukraine covered by air defense. We're considering many formats and tools. We would be ready to raise $30 or even $50 billion for such a package. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, president of Ukraine, in comments to the media.
On April 9th, the U.S. President signed an executive order revising the rules for exporting military equipment. The move aims to simplify the process for American defense companies to sell weapons abroad. Under the new order, U.S. firms will have more direct access to international clients, while the U.S. Congress will have reduced oversight over weapons exports. Analysts believe this will significantly boost revenues for large American defense manufacturers.
So this executive order is going to direct your Department of Defense, Department of State, other relevant departments and agencies to rework our system of foreign defense sales to ensure that we can provide equipment, creating American jobs and providing obviously revenue to American defense manufacturers, but provide key military equipment to our key allies in a reliable, effective way.
Additionally, U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is expected to participate online in the upcoming Ramstein Format Summit, according to several media outlets citing their sources. At the summit, Ukraine will push for more air defense systems, particularly Patriot missile batteries, President Zelenskyy confirmed.
Priority number one is air defense, especially missile defense and protection against ballistic threats. Ukraine needs at least 10 systems that are effective specifically against Russian ballistic missiles. Patriots are the best for this. We've spoken about this repeatedly with our American partners and with everyone in Europe who can help. We are counting on a decision.
Kiev has also stressed the urgent need for large-caliber ammunition. EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Kaja Kallas stated that the European Union is ready to meet this need. According to her, Brussels plans to deliver ammunition to Ukraine worth a total of €2 billion by the end of 2025. Furthermore, the EU is actively working on integrating Ukraine into the wider European defense industry.
Companies in the European Union have a lot to learn from Ukraine in this regard. This includes from Ukraine's ability to build a thriving and innovative drone industry while under attack, and from your strong industrial base that you built by encouraging hundreds of defense startups.
Strengthening Ukraine's military capabilities to counter Russian aggression remains a top security priority for the European Union. This is reflected in the EU's defense strategy, known as the White Paper. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen also stated that since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion more than 3 years ago, the EU has provided Ukraine with €50 billion in military aid. In addition, more than 73,000 Ukrainian service members have received training within EU member states. Reported by Andriy Dmitrenko, UATV News.
Germany's new coalition intends to support Ukraine with weapons, as well as with its stance on Ukraine joining NATO. This was confirmed within the frames of the coalition agreement of the CDU, CSU and the Social Democratic Party of Germany. Also in the document, the three German parties emphasized that Russia's war against Ukraine directly threatens German security. And the future German Chancellor-in-Waiting of Germany and the leader of the CDU party, Friedrich Merz, noted that Berlin is returning to the right path. Meet Christina Dombrovska with more details on the matter.
A significant signal from Berlin to Kiev. With the new coalition, Germany will continue to support Ukraine in its war against Russian aggression, and even expand that support, writes the German outlet Berliner Morgenpost. On April 9th, the center-right Christian Democrats, the Christian Social Union, and the center-left Social Democrats reached an agreement to form a government following Germany's snap federal elections. Party leaders announced that they had reached a compromise on several key issues, particularly support for Ukraine. The coalition agreement outlines a substantial increase in military, civil, and political support for Kyiv. The three parties also expressed support for Ukraine's progress toward NATO membership.
Ukraine, as a strong democratic and sovereign state that determines its own future with Euro-Atlantic outlook, is of central importance to our own security. We support Ukraine's path to NATO membership as confirmed at the NATO summit in Washington. We support the establishment of a special tribunal to appropriately prosecute and punish the crime of aggression against Ukraine. From Berliner Morgenpost, quoting the coalition agreement of the Christian Democratic Union, Christian Social Union and Social Democratic Party of Germany.
The coalition agreement leaves open the question of Germany's participation in a future European military presence in Ukraine, according to German media. The likely next Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz, emphasized that the coalition deal signals that Europe can count on Germany. He made this statement at a press conference with his coalition partners in Berlin on April 9th. He also pledged to increase defense spending and improve Germany's economic competitiveness.
The future government, the future coalition will reform and invest in order to keep Germany stable, to make it safer and economically stronger again. Europe, too, can count on Germany. We will considerably increase defense spending. We will introduce a planning and purchase law for the Bundeswehr, and we will take further measures to increase the defense capability. In that context, I would like to point out that we will strengthen the military service based on the Swedish model, which is a first voluntary. We hope we will have enough volunteers to strengthen the Bundeswehr.
The coalition agreement also highlights the importance of Germany's relationship with the United States. According to German media, the three parties agreed to reach an understanding as quickly as possible following the stock market drop triggered by new U.S. tariffs. However, Friedrich Merz assured the public that after 4 years of turbulence, Germany is returning to stability. His message to U.S. President Donald Trump, Germany is back on the right path.
The key message to Donald Trump is Germany is back on track. Germany will fulfill the obligations in terms of defense, and Germany is willing to strengthen their own competitiveness. And that is not just Germany, that is Europe. The European Union and Germany will be again a very strong partner within the European Union, and we will bring the European Union forward.
So the new government, first and foremost, stands for spending a lot of money. So even before now the new chancellor is elected by the parliament, they have said that they will invest a lot of money, for example, in infrastructure programs and also in security topics.
As reported by German media, the coalition agreement must still be formally approved by the parties before the government can be formed. Once that happens, likely in early May, Friedrich Merz is expected to be elected Chancellor of Germany. Reported by Kristina Dombrovska, UATV News.
It was Henry Keane and News Pulse, and see you at the next beat.